Well, last night we had a storm, and as you can see, we have trees down, and this one's on the corn patch, and it pretty well mashed the corn flat. What the tree didn't fall on, the wind got some of the other up here off the screen. Some of that may stand back up, I'm hoping, and maybe this young corn will stand back up, but what's under this tree won't. It's broke, mashed, and it's done. So I'm down here early before the heat, hopefully, and I'm gonna try to get at least the laps of this tree cut out of the garden and moved, and then on across the creek where the main trunk is, may cut some of that up. I don't know if I'll do it today. It's a big red oak. It's probably 20-inch diameter tree at the butt, and there'll be a lot of firewood in that, so I may cut that up. Don't know if I'll do it today, but the main objective today is to try to get the laps out of the garden, get all this stuff drug out and cleaned up, and I'm gonna see if I can get started before the heat.
Having to sharpen already?
Well, I ain't sharpened it in a while, so I think it could use a touch-up, so I just thought I would.
One of the worst things about the tree is where in the world are we going to put it?
I know.
I mean, could we carry it back across the creek since that's where it come from?
That's probably what they'll do.
Well, we wanted that big poplar to come down. Oh, part of it come down.
I was afraid to cut it because it would reach a power line, but now it won't, so I can cut the stem off once we get all this out of the way.
If it just fell this way, which it would have got Paul's TV dish, Ben's car, and your wood splitter, but wouldn't have got the garden. I guess it's better that it got the garden.
Yeah.
Corn looks like a giant comb has been combed through it and laid down after it took a bath.
Yep.
On the bright side, all that rain will really help the beans and okra and
It'll help what's left.
what's left. Yeah, the winter squash and Corey's stuff up there. We get the benefit of firewood, Matt was saying. After we get rid of all these.
It don't taste near as good as corn, though.
No, it don't taste near as good as corn. But when we get those laps out of the way, then the rest of it, the bigger chunks, we can save for next winter's firewood. Well, Matt got started on this side, and then we just quickly realized there's just nowhere to put the stuff, so we've changed our plans, and he's going to the other side where it's a little bit more open. It wouldn't matter, we could just drag it right through the garden, but we don't want to ruin the rest of the corn we've got, so he's going to start over there and work back this way, and I'm going to start those little pieces he cut up that we can use for firewood. I'll start working on that while he works on that side, and Paul's coming to help us too, so that'll hopefully make it go quicker. It'll be a big job though. It likely won't be finished today. If we could just get it back, Matt said, out of the garden part, the part that's in the creek and over the creek, we could just leave that for another day or another time. But we'd really like to get this out of the garden so that the rest of the corn that's kind of underneath it might, on this end, might stand up. The stuff under the big tree, of course, is just broke and crumpled up like a piece of paper. There's no hope for it. It's a big old tree though when you get in there and really start looking at it.
Molly was here, she could get back up for you. She can bring it up there. She knows. She will. Let it drop real good and then bring it up.
I kind of like the dog.
Yeah, I did too. She just aggravating.
There was those that did not.
Tore the handle or the pull cord off of the tiller.
Yeah. See, the spark plug wires off. You remember that?
Yeah. There's some kind of mouse or something living in the tiller. I guess that's what she's like. Trying to find some kind of way of pulling it out of there.
Making a little headway. You can see where the part of the tree there fell into those other trees, those big poplars. Up at the top is one of the ones that tore off the top of it as it come down. Matt wanted to cut those trees, the poplar, not the big oak that fell, when he was cutting all these along the creek, but those are so tall that they would hit the power line, so he didn't want to do that. But now one of them, it's kind of been took care of. He can cut that one fork of it. It's a tree with 3 different forks. So he can cut the one all the way on the right now because the top of it's been tore out by this big oak. I forgot all about our deer alarm that we had on that T-post there, and then Matt started moving around over there and it went off. Paul said that we could do a advertisement for them. It's like a Timex, but keeps on ticking. It had fallen off and it's in 2 pieces, but it did still alarm when Matt got over there. It did its little alarm even though it was laying there in 2 pieces. It's a grapevine growing through everything, so it's just kind of bundled it all up together. Like that right there, Matt Scott's grapevine with tree in it. They're wild grapes. We call them fox grapes, and they grow pretty plentiful down here at the creek, which is a real nice benefit if you can beat the coons and the possums to getting them, but not when they tie the trees together and then they fall over. Making progress slowly but surely. I'm headed back up to the house to get Matt a different pair of boots. So I brought Matt his change of boots. He's sitting in the road to change them. Your feet got wet in the other ones?
Yeah. And I can't abide wet feet.
I can't either.
My feet get wet, I go home.
Me and Matt's both were about like cats on that. We can't stand wet feet.
And I've got so many clothes on, I'm about to die.
You could get down to your skivvies and do some cutting.
Be a little dangerous with a saw.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, she's good.
Well, we got the worst of it. At least what was in the garden up. Matt's walked up there to help Corey do something, and Paul went home to take a rest, I'm sure, after all this. There's still a lot of the tree across the creek and over there where it come from. Now that it's gone, you can really see how much corn it took out. Left that little patch right there. Maybe that'll straighten back up, I don't know. And then you can see all this is just broke off and crushed. Disappointing, but that's the way of a gardener. That's the things that happen, things you can't control. And of course, we're just thankful it didn't hit nobody's house, didn't hit nobody's car, nothing like that. And on the bright side, we got the rain and we got some firewood. Some of the limbs of the big oak are stuck down inside the poplar tree there, the three-pronged poplar. I don't know how or if Matt will get them out. This is the other end of the tree. What is that? Is that one of your arrows?
Yep.
One of Matt's old arrows?
From many, many years ago.
Matt was telling Katie that the rocks underneath this tree hadn't been seen in a long, long time. Well, there's you something else ain't been seen in a long, long time.
I can tell you how long back it's been since I've shot those.
How long?
About the time we were married.
About 30 years?
Yeah. That's some of them real old little skinny beamings. I ain't shot them at least since the mid-90s anyway.
That's one you lost and never found, I'm sure.
Sure it is. Cool.
That's the root ball of the tree where it just come up. Makes you wonder why it come up. I guess just a downdraft of wind right here or something.
It may have been leaning. I don't remember what it looked like, but just it being full of leaves and the wind hit it the right way, and if it was leaning, it went.
I'm always thinking when this happens, if you look close, maybe you see an arrowhead stuck in there or something.
I have too. I ain't never found one like that.
No, I hadn't either, but it seems like you could.
There's just as many rocks under here as they are in our garden.
There is. People say they don't know how we garden. Well, you can see underneath this big tree, there's still rocks. There's rocks everywhere. But we don't even think about it. It's just how it is here.
big, ain't it?
Yeah. Way taller than you.
You know, I'm gonna get Katie a rock.
Oh yeah.
I always pick her up rocks. My daddy worked with a fella one time that had a rock, brought it to work because he thought it was cool. And he told all them guys at work, he said, I bet you that's over 100 years old. And everybody started laughing at him and he got mad.
Oh. So last night we were wondering about the sourwood tree, if it was part of this or if it fell on its own. You can see it was part of it. This is it right here. So it's just hooked to the same root ball and it just all come up. And also, we didn't notice from over there, but there's some little pines that was part of it too. But you can see how big the tree was. It's a big old tree. It was tall, and the tall laps part of it, which some of them were pretty big too, some of the limbs up in there, but that's what landed in the garden.
I got another one from 23.
It's a new one. It's a new one. It just, your grape ones don't hold up as good as my pineapple or coconut or peach.
Are you saying that my popsicles are inferior to your popsicles?
I am. You want to taste?
On guard.
We could fight over it. We're too tired to fight though. Matt is especially. But we got most of the big tree moved out, so that's good.
Yeah, it's a job.
Thank goodness Paul helped us. That helped a lot.
Yeah, we'd be down there all day if he hadn't helped us. He's good help.
Of course, he helped Matt last night get the one out of the driveway.
He's a whole lot better help than I am.
No.
Yeah. He don't get wore down as quick as I do. I don't know what's happened to me.
It's just heat.
I guess.
Kind of depressing seeing all the corn snapped off.
Yeah, there just ain't much you can do about it.
No. And there's lots of things to be thankful for. It didn't hit our house or a car or nobody, of course. And there is still some corn left, so I hope that it'll raise itself back up.
Some of it will. You get a few ears here and there, but it ain't gonna be like what it was gonna be.
No. When that would happen to Daddy, not the tree, that's never happened before, but over the years, that's the thing about the thunderstorms, is sometimes that wind that comes with them will just push stuff over. The corn, especially. But he would just say it'll either stand up or it won't. Mama would always want to get out there and try to scotch it up and make sure it stood up. And he'd say, Luzane, I told you it'll either stand up or it won't. Now, and the other thing is, if you just had like 3 stalks, I would definitely try standing it back up. But when you've got a whole big garden full, it's a little bit more time consuming.
Yep.
Not,
And the more you fool with it, the less likely it's gonna stand there anyway. I have picked ears of corn off of stalks that was laying down and they made big full ears. But best thing to do is leave it alone.
yeah, we'll just leave it alone. See if it is going to stand up, it should start standing up in the next day or two, maybe.
The hot sun gets on it.
Yeah, and then if it does, then we need to get down there and do some weeding. That was on our agenda. But now, we're kind of like, let's wait and see, because if it ain't going to stand up, there's no reason to spend that time and effort weeding.
No.
So we'll see.
Did get some firewood out of it. It'll be next year's wood, but it's wood.
Yeah, that's nice. And the rain that come along with it, with the storm, was really good for everything else because, and the corn itself down there, but because it began to get really dry just from, we've had such hot weather. I know a lot of you've had that hot weather too. Unusually hot. Of course it's summertime, but unusually hot weather. So the rain will be good for everything else too. I told Matt it would really help our beans. We've got so many beans that are just little, about that big. So in the next 2 or 3 days we can look forward to doing our first big picking of beans, I think. Those kind of evening thunderstorms like that are really common though in southern Appalachia where we live in the summer. And that's why last year when it was so dry, you know, everybody kept asking us, shouldn't we figure out a way to irrigate? Well, I mean, that would never hurt. You should always be prepared. We should do that. And that was, you know, that's one of the things we want to do. We just ain't got it done yet. But most of the time, those little pop-up thunderstorms keeps it very, I mean, it don't get that dry.
Right.
Last year was just an unusual year. Usually you can count on a thunderstorm at least once every week, if not, I mean, if not that, maybe once every 2 weeks, fairly often. And often those storms may drop like an inch of rain in a very short amount of time.
And sometimes we get 2 or 3 a week.
Sometimes. So those are just part and parcel for this part of the country.
Yep.
When I was young, I didn't like that because it was in the evenings, maybe after work, when Pap got off, that he might go let me swim in the pond, and then it seems like it was always, it'd be a thunderstorm, and you couldn't do that.
Yep.
And there usually, with those thunderstorms, usually is some wind and a lot of thunder and lightning. The funny part is with this one is that me and Matt didn't notice the wind. We were actually, I think it was me actually said, well, I don't think there's much wind because we were already worrying about the corn. We wasn't thinking about trees, but we were worrying about the corn. I said, I don't think there's much wind with it. Boy, I was wrong.
The wind never did get much high. I don't know, that tree
No.
there, just, I guess, or those 2 trees. This little tree that fell across the driveway was a maple, about a 6-7 inch diameter maple. And I looked where it broke off top of the ground, so it had a defect in it somehow or another, and then with the full canopy on it, it just broke. And then that one, big one down there, I don't know what happened to it. It was its time to go.
I reckon. And it took a few with it.
I wished it had waited till about the end of August.
Yeah. It does make a big difference when they have their full canopy of leaves on.
Makes a big difference, like
Yeah.
a big sail up there on a sailboat. And it puts a tremendous stress on the root system.
Yeah. Makes a big difference. Well, it might have been some kind of like a downdraft right there in that area. I don't know.
Yeah.
We did hear from our friends down the road at Donna and Michael's that they had trees down too. So, and that's the only people we've heard from, and we've not been out, so there may be trees down in lots of different places here in our area. I don't know. Which is usually the case. If it's. Granny's so funny. She watches, she don't drive anymore, you know, but when you're driving her, she knows, she's always worrying about trees falling in the road. And she knows where there's, like in several different places where there's trees that they do look like they're leaning, you know, like they're headed for the road. But she's even called the state and tried to tell them they should cut them down and stuff. Anyway, but Paul said it'll be interesting to see if any of Granny's trees she watches, if any of them fell in it.
Yeah.
One really funny thing kind of about there was a few other trees right here that fell by Granny's house. When she recently had her work done, her tree cutting done, there was 2 little skinny pine trees that they left at the top of the bank. And they said they was gonna, what was it? One of them was dead, so they didn't just want to cut it. They were going to use some kind of, what was it they was going to use?
They had a sling ball that they could throw up in it to get a rope up in it, and they could pull it down because they were afraid it was going to reach the house. Even though it was a small, skinny, long tree, They still didn't want to hit the house with it, so they was going to throw that sling ball up in it, and they could pull it to where they wanted it to go, and then cut it.
And then the other one was just about the same size, but it wasn't dead, but it's just a small, I don't know how big, 2 or 3 inches through pine tree. Was it that big?
Probably a 4-inch tree.
4-inch tree. But somehow they just didn't ever do it. They said they was going to before they left, and they never did do it. Well, both of those trees blew down. So it's like Granny couldn't have orchestrated that. Both of them blew down. And then since they've left, she's planted 2 apple trees there on the bank. She wants to plant more. I mean, since the loggers, the people that was cutting it left. And they, what was it Paul said? They fell like on either side of it, in between it, but didn't hit the apple trees.
Fell right beside
Yeah.
both of the apple trees, but never touched them, didn't damage them. So that's good.
So those were the only other ones we know about. And they needed to come down, especially the one that was dead.
Yeah.
So it was not the excitement that me and Matt wanted.
No.
But we sure are thankful to be able to take care of it ourselves. We know a lot of people can't or not able to do things like that, and then you have to worry about paying somebody or just leaving it. I've seen houses like that before where there's a big tree and obviously it's been there for a long time, and I figure they're not able to cut it up, and they can't afford to get somebody else to cut it up.
Yeah. So they just got to live with it.
So they just gotta live with it.
Big trees blowed over in the yard. Like laying on an outbuilding, mashed it, or damaged it, and you come by a year later and it's still there.
Yeah. They just don't have the means or the money to get somebody to do it for them. So I'm thankful we're able to do that, and thankful for Paul's help. Now, we had 2 trees that we left like that, but they didn't blow over. Matt cut them. Remember those 2 big pine trees? Living in a place like we do in a rural place, and then in the mountains of southern Appalachia, which is just a jungle, it really is like a temperate rainforest. Things grow so fast, and especially the pine trees. So there was 2 pine trees up here above the house, and I don't know why we didn't cut them. Why we didn't cut them to begin with. But who knows why we didn't.
Well, the reason we didn't then was because...
I'm talking about the 2 that we left laying there that you cut all by yourself, not with Scott. Yeah.
But at the time when we cut the trees out for the house, we didn't cut that far back because it wasn't graded that far back
that's
yet,
true,
and we just really didn't even see them.
Yeah.
And then once we had
The grading done.
we'd been here some years and had some grade work done and had the yard enlarged, and they got all the way up to those trees. And I can remember I thought that me and him talked about them, and he said he'd push them over with a track hoe.
But he didn't.
And I was thinking, them's awful big trees, push over. And that may have been, he may have forgot it, and then dug his way down low enough below him that he couldn't get back to them to reach them, or decided they was too big, or what. I don't know what. But they got left. And we worried about those every time it'd come a thunderstorm. I worried about them
Matt
because they was
did.
back there at the girls,
Yeah.
and they were leaning right at the end of the house.
He would.
And it's right where the girls'
Yeah.
bedroom was, and every time it come a thunderstorm, I couldn't sleep if it was of a night.
And if it was going to be like really bad, like a line of storms coming or something, Matt would make them sleep in the living room. He wouldn't let them sleep back there.
And I was afraid to cut them because I didn't want to hit the house, and we sure couldn't afford to have
Yeah,
somebody
we
cut
couldn't
them back
afford
then.
nobody to cut them then.
And then one Saturday morning, I woke up. I don't remember if it had rained that night or I'd had them on my mind or worried about them. And I woke up that morning and said to myself, I'm cutting them trees down today, and if I hit the house with them, I'll fix it.
Well, you cut one, and then you got that made you braver. And then the next one you cut, Corey and Katie was at school. They wasn't even here. Because I remember I went in the house in the dangerous room and was like, because I just didn't want to know if it went bad. I just didn't want to know, you know.
Back then, I was building houses and
Yeah.
doing carpentry work, and I thought, if I hit the end of the house and tear the roof off of it, I'll just fix it. But
Yeah.
I don't want to lay
You
down and worry about them
yeah.
no more.
Yeah. So
And that's-
how big around were they? They were humongous.
They were probably 30-inch diameter white pines, big trees.
Yeah.
They're big for here. And
And I mean, they shook the house, wasn't it? Because I was hiding in the house.
the first one
They
I
shook the
cut,
house.
It didn't miss the house by a lot. And in fact, the laps of it scraped the gable end of the house as it went down. Didn't hurt anything. But that's how close it was. But it literally did shake the ground because they were on that high hill and they fell down that steep embankment. And when they landed, of course, it about 20 foot of the top of it, it broke it in two. But it had a lot of momentum by the time it hit the ground, and you could hear it and feel it.
Yeah.
And that was the one closest to the house, and I got to thinking, well,
Then you
I
got
that one
braver.
down.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that other one too.
Yeah. And you cut it like a few days later or something.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's been 20 years ago.
Matt cleaned up all the laps and all that, but the big giant trunks were just laying on that steep bank, and there really wasn't no way. I mean, we didn't have no machinery or nothing, and it's so dangerous to work with big trees like that on a grade because they can slip and roll over you, and so we ended up just leaving them. We just left them there. And they gradually, over time, rotted away, most of them. And then when Thomas, if you've been watching us a long time ago, you'll remember about 3 years ago now, we had Thomas cut that bank. It's when he put our build out the little place for our raised beds. He got the rest of them and got them out.
Yeah, he had a machine.
He had a machine that he could pull them.
Yep.
But we just left them there. And at first I thought, oh my Lord, they look terrible. Why can't we do something with them, Matt? But I knew we didn't have no money. It was dangerous. But then gradually, you just quit noticing them. You know, they just become part of your landscape. You just quit noticing them. So, and then the bank grows up. So in the summer, weeds would cover them. You wouldn't even notice them in the summer. Wouldn't even notice them being up there. Anyway, but living in a place like this, trees are a constant worry. And if you have white pines or something that grows really, really fast, then before you know it.
Yeah, there's
They're
two.
Big. Yeah, there's
right
don't
here next to
look
my
over
shed.
here because there's some that we should have cut before Matt did his shed, but they're not that big, so he's gonna cut them. But first he's gonna finish the shed, but he's gonna cut them. I'm gonna stay on top of him, make him cut them. But because if not, we'll just turn around and they'll be as big as those, and then they'll be shading our gardens, and then Matt won't be able to cut those because, sorry Matt, you'll be too old. Be too old. Truthfully, though, we'd probably be too old to garden by then, too.
Never.
No. We'll be out there with our what do you call it, the little thing you
I'll be out
drive.
there on my rascal. I'm going to put
rascal.
knobbies on my rascal and have a big holster on it for my hoe.
Yeah, there you go.
And another holster over here to hold my insure.
Yeah, there you go.
And just go at it till I go to sleep.
There you go.
How's that?
That's a good attitude. I hope we're able to keep doing it. I hope so. I hope so. Your big saw, though, has come in handy. And when we bought that, we didn't have much money, but I'm glad we bought. I mean, how many times have we used it?
I haven't even told you my next idea. I'm afraid to.
Oh goodness, what is it?
That is a good saw, and it's heavy. It's. I mean, my goodness, that thing absolutely cut, but it's heavy and it
Yeah.
wears me out. And they now make them that's just as powerful,
But smaller.
but half the weight.
How old is that one?
I've had that one 9 or 10 years.
Oh, I thought it was longer than that.
I bought it when I was still working at the college.
When the one Matt's got another one, his other saw, he's had it since we built our house.
Yeah, it's old. Now I wouldn't wanted to try to do what we did this morning with it.
It's not powerful.
It's just, I just keep it for sentimental value. It's not really, it's about absolutely wore all the way out, but
It's a smaller saw too.
I bought it, didn't even have a saw, and I bought it, and it actually cut all the timber off of where our house is now, and I just keep it because of that.
Yeah.
Every time I look at it, I can remember back then cutting the trees off this place to build our house, so I keep it. But they make them now, they're got just as much power that weigh half as much.
Yeah. And they make the
If I'm going to run one, I'm considering buying one.
the little electric ones too, or battery powered ones. One of our dear friends bought Matt one, and it works really good. Except now Papaw has it, because Papaw had this same thing happen at his house months ago,
Yeah.
and he didn't have.
He found out I had that thing.
Yeah.
He said, "Let me borrow that."
Yeah,
So I
He
let him borrow
needed it because he's not, of course, he's way older than that, so he didn't even have a chainsaw, did he? Or did he have one and he couldn't, it was too heavy or what? He'd got too heavy for him or something.
I don't remember
Anyway, he needed it because kind of the same thing, a storm come and blew down trees in his yard. And he had somebody helping him, but he wanted to help get some of them himself, so that's all worked good for him.
But I'm considering buying me one of them saws. So, get your mind, body, and soul prepared.
You buy whatever you want. You always have. I have too. Yeah.
I don't care what you buy.
I know you don't. I don't care what you buy either. But neither one of us don't spend on frivolous things, though.
I mean, if I spend money on something, much money, it's something that's useful.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
not when you could look at our vehicles and tell we're not too concerned about that because they're all old.
Yeah. I am one of those rare people, rare women. I guess there's other women like that, but I've been teased about it before. But I like useful things. I would rather, like the jokes about don't buy your wife a microwave or a vacuum or something like that. I would be, if I needed one of those things, I'd be very pleased. I like useful things.
We are utilitarian
Yeah,
people.
utilitarian. So, yeah. I'm easy to please on that front. Buy me a good broom. Buy me a pack of paper towels because I know I'm going to use them, or toilet paper or something. So it's useful. I know it'll get used. That's the kind of things I like.
Yep.
I hear deer alarms. I can't believe that one that was crushed. It was open and it was still working. It was broke open. Its guts was hanging out kind of, but it was still going.
I saw the deer this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Where?
I didn't tell you.
In my beans, in my what?
First I saw it on the bank, and then by the time I got out, it was standing beside Katie's car.
There's one doe. That's all that we've seen this year is one doe, and she's become, I think she thinks she's a dog. She's like a pet.
And she thinks the stuff we grow is to feed our pet.
Yeah, she thinks so. So,
She's here about every day.
yeah. Matt thought, and maybe still she does, that she has a fawn and it's nearby, and that maybe when it grows up, she'll move along.
Well, by now, I think if she had one, it would be with her.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's getting aggravating to see the tops of our beans nipped off.
Yeah,
I may have to have a talk with her.
yeah, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Stern one.
Yeah, very stern, yeah. Yeah. I guess you're really hungry after all that.
I'm starving to death.
What you want me to make you for dinner?
I don't know what we got.
No. I was trying to think if we had any leftovers we could warm up.
There's one piece of the stuff I made last night, but I left it for Katie to have for lunch because she liked it. Or you, either one.
No, I don't want it.
I don't want it
I
for
can't
lunch.
eat big during the day, but Matt made some delicious chicken last night. Hopefully he can do a video and share it. Smothered chicken with cheese and onions. It was very, very good, and I've never made anything like that, I don't think. Matt might have made it a long time ago or something, but it always reminds me, though, of when me and Matt was courting back in the day, the very first place we ever went out to eat. I guess that was the first place, wasn't it? With a group. That time was before me and you went to eat at a Japanese place by ourselves. But with a group of people was at Poncho's in Asheville. If you lived in Asheville, you probably remember that. It's not there anymore, I don't think, or unless it's been moved to a different place, it's not there.
Yeah.
And that's what I would get, smothered chicken.
That's a good place to eat back then.
It was a good place. So that's what it reminded me of. But I said, Matt, yours is better than my memory of Poncho's, which has been so long ago, but yours is better than that.
It's probably just your failed memory.
No, it was delicious. Had fresh salad, had a baked potato, and Katie had made some kind of little biscuits for her and Ira, and Matt split them and toasted them with, made garlic bread kind of out of them. Delicious meal. It was so good. So good. Maybe you can show people how to do that.
Yeah, I can do that. I just made it up. I mean, it's not a made-up dish. It's just the way
The way you did
the
it.
way
you
I
just-
did it's made up because I didn't have a recipe or anything. I just threw together what I had and cooked it, and there it was.
It was really good. Y'all have been hearing probably in this video, but the jar flies, they're now here and making their, it goes on, making their noise, making their self known. We've been hearing them for about a week, I guess. Still not heard any katydids, but I've seen my first katydid while we were down there working. I seen something underneath the brush I was getting, hopping along, and I thought that looks kind of like a katydid, but it must be an immature katydid. I said it's not old enough to sing yet. It's not singing for us. But I got it and carried it and put it in a safer place. So they are here. I just ain't heard them. I mean, they've not been singing yet, but it should be any day now. But the jar flies are here.
So you know it's hot.
How you know it's hot, yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll go in and I'll scrounge up something for Matt to eat and let him rest and get his boots off. He's already had to change boots once. He got the first ones wet and
Yeah, I can't deal with wet feet.
can't abide wet feet.
My feet get wet, I'm going home wherever we're at.
I'm about the same way. I can't stand it either.
I can be cold or whatever, but wet feet's not happening for me for very long.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't cotton to that too much.
Don't blame you. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia. And we hope you'll keep coming by. Maybe we'll have some corn. Maybe you'll get to see us harvest corn if any of that stands up. We sure hope so.